So I want you to replace the image of the farmer in the mountains cultivating the coca leaf or the poppy plant or the marijuana plant, and replace that with a giant chemical industry. Just in China alone, $15 billion chemical industry, of which a teeny percentage may be in the range of $20 to $40 million of which could be connected to fentanyl. Okay, put that in the $15 billion, pie chart, and you got nothing. That's why you don't see any of this. That's why it's so hard to repress it. That's why the price just in the last 5 years has gone down 20-fold or more. You're just fighting a losing battle.
So things like the tariffs you were talking about earlier, things like what the administration's put in play, you don't feel will make an impact on slowing it down?
No, I don't. It just won't. It's just not. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to do it. It's just physically, like just talking about the physical product of this. This is, I mean, I don't know how, it's very hard for me to kind of put it in sort of images for your listeners, but think about just like a globe that's full of chemicals, and right, the chemicals are the raw materials to make these drugs, to make the fentanyls, to make the methamphetamines. That's the raw materials, right? And it's just this huge amount of chemicals. All of these chemicals are moving around the world to do all kinds of products for us. The shampoos, the soaps, any synthetic oils, all of this sort of, any sort of product, the lots of plastics, so many products, right, is the global chemical industry involved with, that you're not going to stop that. You don't want to stop the flow of those global goods. And in order to control fentanyl, or control the production of the illegal production of methamphetamine or fentanyl, you need to slow that down. But nobody wants to slow that down. So this isn't something that you can actually grind to a halt. And there isn't something, it's finding a needle in a haystack inside of a haystack. I mean, it's just it's just so hard to find it, that you're just spinning your wheels on this. There are ways, of course, to mitigate this. You could certainly think about even technology in a new way, and maybe that's where we should be going. We should be thinking about these sort of decentralized ledgers. And by decentralized ledgers, I'm talking about things like blockchain, things that are not controlled by anybody in particular, that people have to register movement of goods across these borders. So if I am working in the blockchain, it's going to indicate what went through my warehouse, when it went through, et cetera. And I have no control over that. That's out of my control. And that would be a way of creating a system of accountability that couldn't be corrupted or has less chance of being corrupted. Those sorts of things maybe we can start to implement in order to control these supply chains. But this is the not just the future. This is obviously the present of drugs. I mean, you have a parallel legacy drug market which continues to operate largely the same. So we're talking about cocaine and heroin and marijuana to a certain extent, and then you have this other drug supply chain, which is the synthetic drug supply chain, which is running in parallel and is gaining strength, and will continue to gain strength. And so we're talking about how do you deal with this synthetic drug supply chain?
What's going on, y'all? I'm not sure if you know this, but Borderland Narcosis is sponsored by First Form. First Form is a wellness supplement company. And, I've been with them for about 7 years. And I've been with them for that long because I truly believe in not just the product, but the people who own the company. They are a culture that just believes in your health. And so if you guys haven't tried it before, I would recommend you go and check out the Formula One Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Add a little bit of a ignition to that, and you'll have exactly what you need for your post-workout drink. This is something I've used for a very long time. When I'm in the best shape of my life, it's always been because I have a nice regimen of the First Form products. So if you guys are interested, go check them out at firstform.com/Borderland. Okay, use our link. It is the number one stphorm.com/Borderland. And if you order over $75, you get free shipping. And if you're new to the site, you get a free app for 30 days. So go check it out. Again, thank you so much for all the support. See you soon. Yeah, and you mentioned something about AI, which I was like, man, I never thought of AI being involved in the drug trade with cryptocurrencies. How does that, explain that to me? It's the first time I've ever heard that, but how does AI get involved in this whole thing?
A lot of different ways. How do you use AI? Let's just start there. What do you do?
It automates a lot of my scheduling, business stuff. Helps organize a lot of my life right now. It's what I use AI for.
It can definitely be an organizer, and it certainly could give you a sense of what was out there legally. You might be facing legal challenges, or you might want to know, for example, what are the regulatory regimes around certain types of chemicals. So it could certainly help you in that regard. Maybe you could spin it so that it actually gives you a plan, given the different regulatory regimes around chemicals, for example. Maybe you could spin, and I don't want to give anybody any ideas, but you could spin it in a way that says, all right, in order to avoid being on the wrong side of the law, you should move this chemical through this country, then you get it to that country.
Interesting.
You could see it that way. You could see it helping you out and doing, it's certainly already helping out physicians, right? As they're dealing with diseases,